Did you know that over half of your body is made up of water? Today, I chat with Omar Kandel, someone who is doing great things in the world, all in the name of clean water. We speak about his Dot water bottle and zero plastic waste. We dive into water accessibility, preservation, and challenged areas. Omar gets us thinking about how we tend to take water for granted and what we can do to shift our mindset to leave a cleaner, greener planet behind. If you ask me, clean beauty first starts with water. Hey beauties, welcome to the Clean Beauty Podcast. Did you know that unlike most everything else in America, cosmetics are not regulated? This means that corporations can use thousands of potentially harmful ingredients that I personally know can cause health problems. I'm your host, Cassandra McClure. I've been in the beauty business for over 10 years as a celebrity makeup artist that advocates for safer and more sustainable cosmetics. Join me each week for important news, exclusive interviews, and more on the clean beauty revolution. I have Omar Kandel, and he is here today to talk about the dot culture. And I'm just going to let him take it away.
Hello, Cassandra. Thank you for having me. My name is Omar Kandel, and I'm a co-founder of the Dot Culture along with Manar Al-Isai.
How did you get into this? What sparked the dot culture?
Back in 2009, I moved to an island called Prince Edward Island that is off the coast of Canada. It's on the eastern side. And every time I would travel or go back home, I would be asked about this place because a lot of people apparently did not hear about it or do not know anything about it. So I always felt the need to explain where it is or what it's like and so on and so forth. In 2016, I got struck by an idea to brand the province similarly to Fiji, the water bottle, and use water as a marketing tool to promote the province or the island specifically. At the beginning, it seemed to be like an excellent idea. My vision was to also try to utilize shrimp shells and create plastic from it, and create a new mean for other companies to use something more environmentally friendly than regular plastic bottles.
So the shrimp shells, did that ever turn into anything or?
No, sadly, it did not. The province at that time was not ready to use water as a marketing tool, and the province passed a law to ban the export of bottled water. This had me partner up with a company in Alberta, and together we created another product, not utilizing shrimp and lobster shells.
Okay. And is that the dot bottles?
Yes, this is the dot bottles.
Okay. So there's the dot culture, which, and then that's the dot water, which is what I had found out about. And so you have a giving back program, but the bottles are biodegradable, which I thought was really cool, but they look like normal plastic.
Yes. Let me explain what are oxo-biodegradable bottles or what is oxo-biodegradable plastic. Oxo-biodegradable plastic is plastic that is manufactured. However, you add a formula to it that allows it to degrade and become part of the soil again. So it goes back to nature and degrades into carbon, water, and biomass. So it leaves no plastic waste.
Water is very pure as well.
Yes, the water is fetched from the Canadian Rocky Mountains. It is alkaline water with high pH level and very low sodium levels.
One of the quotes on your Instagram is be a part of the solution, not of the pollution. So how would you advise, I mean, other than using water bottles? And I mean, I think, going into a store, I try to avoid them now that I know to do that. But if someone's just starting out and let's say drink these water bottles all the time, I'm like, what are the alternatives?
The alternative is to use tap water. This is the only alternative.
So reusable, I mean, I have mine. I have like a canteen. I have a couple different metal ones. I switch them out. I have a glass one.
These are, yes,
Great.
these are the best. Like if you are, the purpose of bottled water is not to buy it all the time. The purpose of bottled water is to have it as an alternative to when you are in a situation where you need something disposable or something handy. So if you're out on a hike, you would purchase a bottled water, but you should be able to drink your water at home from the tap. A lot of people use more filters to filter their water, or use the alkaline machine to make their water alkaline at home. But water bottles in general should be used as a way for convenience when you're out and not on a regular basis.
I know that we wanted to go over human behavior and habits and things like that. So, what do you have to say about that?
Our habits dictate who we are. How you behave is basically who you become. And I do find that a lot of people's habits became so spontaneous that they don't see the effects of things that they buy or decisions they make.
Water bottles are a great example. I mean, we just throw them away. We dispose of everything. Similar with the plastic bags at stores. We were talking about that earlier. It's just something that we don't really see landfills. We don't really smell a dump. We don't really, someone comes and picks up our trash and we just dispose of everything. And I mean, I'm even guilty of not recycling everything all the time. So it is because it's just so easy. You're just trained and that's how you grew up, to be wasteful, and throw away food and all those things. And it's hard to break a habit, but
That is very true. We became very disconnected from many things in our lives. We became disconnected to our food. We became disconnected to our garbage and waste because we do not see it, does not mean it's not there. As it pertains to food, for example, back in the day, people were more connected to their food. People understood that this cow brings me milk, this hen brings me eggs. They raise the hen, they love the hen, they see the hen grow and so forth. They cherish its product. But now we just purchase things without being connected to the process of creating it. And this is when it becomes problematic, I believe.
yeah, I mean, it's hard when we all live in cities and suburbs where there's no farms. I don't know where my eggs come from. Um, I had a conversation yesterday with one of the girls on my team, and we were talking about how the eggs in like France and other countries are like very small, and here they're very big in the U.S. And it's GMO and other things. Even if they say they're really fresh and clean and everything, it's very large. And I didn't even know that. So there's a lot when it comes to food because it's really like what's available at the store. You don't really have that many choices.
That is very true. And back to being connected to our food, uh, I have read a paper a few years back, I believe, or maybe yeah, I would say a few years back, that the writer created a theory about the Syrian revolution specifically, and he attributed the Syrian revolution to uh, peop to water scarcity. And in his paper, he was talking about because people are more connected to their food in the Syrian culture, when water became more scarce, food became less, therefore people got poorer. And this is what pushed the revolution. So if you see the causation and the correlation between all these factors and how important it is that even though that we are not connected to things tangibly, we are still part of a bigger system or a bigger process.
What else are you doing with dot culture? What are you working on? What do we have to look forward to, or other resources that we can look out
Our
for?
partners in the MENA region have been working on having bamboo toothbrushes that try to eliminate plastic waste. Um, Here we are focusing on the water, as well as we are developing an online grocery store where it focuses on the sell of misfit and ugly fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've seen a couple commercials on social media about disfigured fruit. So it's kind of almost trending. That's really interesting. I had no idea before I saw the commercials that if a fruit was not like, an apple wasn't perfect looking, it was thrown out. I did not know that. And I find it kind of weird because, the fruits are sometimes very expensive in the store, and I never really understood. And I just thought, okay, fruits are just really, really expensive, but they're kind of accounting for all those other ones that they're throwing away, and then all the ones that go bad after they even get to the store. So very few even make it to the shelf or into someone's home. So I'm glad that there are people like you that are paying attention to that and creating a solution and also a cheaper alternative, right? Like if you don't care that the fruit is perfect, I don't know where that came from, right? Where they just said all the apples need to look exactly the same, and all the eggs and everything. So the fruit it's a little bit cheaper, or at least that's how I saw it advertised
That is true,
online.
but the thought behind it is waste management. We try to eliminate as much waste as possible by utilizing and using almost all the means. Becoming eco-friendly or becoming environmentally conscious, you will never become 100% environmentally conscious or eco-friendly. It's just like the pursuit of happiness. It is the pursuit of becoming environmentally friendly or conscious. You will never reach the pinnacle. You'll never reach the 100%, but the closer you are to it, the better you become.
I feel much better when I remember to bring my bag into the store. When I bring my disposable water bottle and I'm not wasting a cup. Like all those little things add up and they do make you feel good inside. But there is a large percentage of people who actually don't know that what they're doing is harmful. And I feel like that's who this episode is for. It's for the people that are not conscious, who don't think about the waste, who don't realize about like what their carbon footprint looks like, that they even have one, or that what they do matters, recycling, like all of those things. So I really hope that those people hear this, because it is, and it's becoming worse and worse. I mean, I've posted videos where it says by the year 20 whatever there will be massive plastic in the oceans, like more plastic than fish, because fish are dying and by eating the plastic, and it's just this really horrible
And
cycle.
this is why I believe
So
oxo-biodegradable plastic is the best thing since sliced bread, because it does not harm the environment through production, aka the deforestation of trees, but also it does not stay in its physical state very long, and it decomposes within 2 to 10 years, depending on the environment and depending on the situation that it's in.
in regular plastic, I heard that it never biodegrades, but then I also heard that it, like, sometimes that there's like 100 years. Is there?
I don't
Do you
know
know
exactly, but
exactly?
uh, from what I remember and read, I think it is between 500 to 800 years, but I am not 100%.
Wow. I didn't know about the deforestation for plastic. I thought that was for paper. How is
No, the
that?
deforestation was meant for paper alternatives. When you walk into a store and you are faced with a decision to bag your produce or goods in a paper bag or a plastic bag,
Go for the
evaluating the paper
paper.
product based on its end life cycle, but you're not viewing how the paper bag or the paper product was created or made. But as it pertains to
Mm,
plastic, it is
okay.
manufactured, but we have a problem with waste management. We produce it, it is more environmentally friendly than producing paper. However, with paper, it is more environmentally friendly when it's disposed, but plastic is not. So, what we try to do is to try to find a solution to waste management of plastic.
Yeah, and I like what California has done. I think it's 10 or 15 cents every time you check out and you need an extra bag. It's like an extra uh, like dime or so. And it adds up, and but I didn't ever really think about about kind of where it came from. I just, you just it's kind of like you just don't know until you know, but now I know. I want to know about providing children in these vulnerable communities with drinking water. So you have your 1 for 1. So when you buy a bottle or you buy a case of 24 water bottles, 24 also goes to a community. But what program is that? Where
So
exactly
we
are they
partner up with
going?
an NGO called Roundabout Water Solutions. And what they do is very endearing to me. They build wells around schools and they plug a merry-go-round on top. And then they connect the well to a big tank. So when kids play, it pumps water from the ground and stores it in the tank. And then there's another pipe that leads down to a tap where people can access water in a more humane way. And the water, of course, is clean because it was not exposed to the outside world. What this created is number one, it made schools the nucleus of communities again, where people will settle around schools because this is where the source of water is. And number two, it empowered the children and made them feel responsible to their community. So play does not feel like it is something that they do only for fun, but it is also something that they do to be responsible humans in this community.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm just looking at the photos now, and now it makes sense.
So after I came across
I think
this
that's amazing.
NGO, me and my co-founder decided to support them. And how it works is with every 1 liter of water sold, we help extract a liter for them in South Africa. They currently are operating in South Africa and Lesotho, but uh, I know that there will be more water-stressed regions around the world, and we are also looking for new partnerships to help other communities in need.
That's great. I work with the Carrot School project. They're also in they're in the Ivory Coast. I'll have to connect you with them. I have a dear friend who works with us in Rising Tide who does a lot for, like, I mean, that's where she's from. So she is here in Palo Alto, but she does a lot to give back. And so we do a lot of fundraisers and stuff for the kids over there. And it's a lot around schooling young children that didn't have access to school. So they're like building and doing a lot of things, but we'll have to see about if they need any water. But I love roundabout solutions and the merry-go-round, and like encouraging them to play, which is healthy, and then also
And more
creating that culture
importantly,
around the school.
more
That's really
girls
great.
attend schools because the role of fetching water is usually attributed to women and young girls. Women and young girls are the ones who sometimes have to walk almost 4 kilometers to gather water and come back. So what ends up happening is a lot of young girls don't end up going through the educational system and therefore caught in a vicious cycle. So by doing this, you're also empowering women in an indirect way. I also want to raise awareness about refugees and climate refugees specifically. When people hear of a refugee, they always think of a person who fled a war-torn country or has political problems from the place that they came from, but they never really think of a climate refugee. A climate refugee is basically a person who had to leave their home because of the effects of climate change. And currently, there are many climate refugees
Hmm.
around the world that the spotlight has not been on them. The political refugees have been getting more exposure than climate refugees.
What areas?
Italy, Venice specifically, is threatened by sea level rise. In the near future, many people from the Middle East will have to relocate or migrate to other places due to water scarcity. Uh, a lot of countries are water poor, meaning that they depend on uh, external sources for drinking water.
That's
So, like,
affecting everybody.
even in areas of Africa, such as Somalia and Eritrea, it becomes very challenging to um, not face the effects of droughts and climate change on day-to-day basis.
And even in California, I mean, they talk about droughts and things like that. And I feel I see some of the grasses, they water them less and they try to do their best. But for the most part, I mean, we go about our normal day. It's not like our water
Well,
gets turned off. So I can't
this is
imagine
very
how that must
lucky
feel
because if you remember
overseas.
in South Africa, Cape Town, they were not at some point. Their water levels were so low that people were not allowed to um, fill their pools. There was a certain quota for water per person or per household. Like, I don't remember exactly. So the world is becoming more and more scarce when it comes to water. And we will start seeing more and more climate refugees in the near future.
Not overusing water and making sure pipes are fixed and you're not taking so many water bottles and wasting plastic. Like, are there other things that people can start doing every day, like little changes that would make a big
Of
difference
course,
when done together?
away from water, you can carpool. Carpooling is also better for the environment. Instead of using four cars with four times the emissions, you're using one car. If you can afford an electric car, that would be perfect. I do believe that electric cars are more eco-friendly than normal cars.
That's next on my list for sure. The new Teslas just came out and they
The
are
Model 3,
really affordable.
yes,
Um,
Model S are
Oh yeah,
through
Model
the
3,
roof.
right? And I've seen them around, and they're beautiful. And yeah, the X are like the doors that open up on the side. Yeah, so I think that they're around. I want to say like 30 or something like that. Thank you so much for all this insight into the dot culture and the bottles and what you're doing in the world. And um, if you want to share where anyone can reach you, I mean, there's the dotculture.com and the dot culture Instagram, as well as
Dot Water is available on Amazon throughout North America.
Today's episode is sponsored by Flora and Fauna. If you know me, you know I'm religious about my weekly manicures. As a makeup artist, my hands are constantly on display and being sanitized. Whether I'm holding a product for a photo shoot or applying lashes on a client, it's so important to me that my nails and hands look perfect at all times. The Cuticle Hero oil pen from Flora and Fauna keeps my hands looking like I just left the salon. The Twist Click pen is foolproof and I take it everywhere. I have one for my purse and one for my gym bag, and I use it before every unboxing video. I have gifted these to friends and they all rave about them. Flora and Fauna uses ingredients we can trust, read, and understand. Although it smells delightful, there are absolutely no harsh chemicals or synthetic fragrances. To get your own Cuticle Hero pen, go to floraandfaunabeauty.com. That's FLORA and FAUNA beauty.com and enter the code CLEANBEAUTY at checkout for 15% off. That's it for this week's episode on the Clean Beauty Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to head over to iTunes to review, rate, and subscribe to the channel. Until next week, stay beautiful.